Sky Painters, how to play. If you're familiar with these games, you already know half of the rules of Sky Painters. Goal. The goal of the game is to win in one of the following 3 ways. Star Victory. Get 5 Sky Painter tiles, forming a star and win immediately. Firmament Victory. Complete 9 cards on the color side in a 3x3 grid and win immediately. It's irrelevant if you have more cards or not. Efficiency Victory. If the game ends and no one has achieved Star Victory or Firmament Victory, a scoring phase proceeds, and the player who has earned the most victory points wins. Setup. The setup changes depending on the number of players. Please consult the rulebook to a proper setup. Here, we have set up the game for 2 players. We place the celestial board in the center of the table. Every player have their initial magic partner, and this player goes first because he has the starting hero token. Also, all players have a bubble tile with a multiplier. Each player can only have 1 bubble during the whole game. The deck has been placed beside the board, and 3 cards from the top of the deck have been placed. 1 on the right space, 1 in the center, and 1 in the left space. There are 3 stacks with 3 Sky Painters each on top side of the celestial board. There are 5 halos of light on the circle spaces on the celestial board. We return the remaining ones to the box. We also arrange the other elements as a reserve: the leader token, the neon crystals, the spots, the hub tokens, and 3 clouds for 2 players. Also, all the corresponding dice have been rolled. The rulebook and the reference card are on one side of the table within reach of everyone in case they need them. We are ready to begin. Core concepts. Combos. With just a few actions, you must try to achieve multiple combos in a single turn. If this is your first time playing a game with combos, please pay attention to the following. There are many ways to make combos, but you have to discover them on your own. However, don't skip this part, because we're going to unlock one of them for you. The basic combo in the game is achieved by having at least 2 uncompleted cards, with both of them about to be completed, with 2 missing dice of the lowest value possible. Also, both cards need to have a leader icon and a winged hop symbol. This will make sense later, but you have to know it right now. Trust the process, and let's look at this example. I have 3 uncompleted cards here. This one has 1 die about to be completed. This card has this empty symbol die with a low value. And this card has this empty symbol die with a low value and this die about to be completed. The rest of the dice on the cards are already completed. Now it's my turn, and my main action is to take a free die. I'm going to take the blue 6. I place this die on the blue 2 symbol die, so I gain 4 spots from the reserve. This card is now completed, so I roll back the dice into the reserve, I flip the card, and I gain all the bonuses on it, which are 8 spots from the reserve that I add to my personal reserve, and the leader, which I take from wherever it is and add it to my play area. It's still my turn, so I paint this white die with my spots, paying 2 spots and turning the 1 into a 3. So this card is also completed now. I roll the dice into the reserve and flip the card, gaining its bonuses. This time I gain 6 spots and a 4-winged hop symbol. That is activated because I have the leader in my play area. So I earn 4 hop tokens from the reserve. It's still my turn. Now I paint the blue die with 3 spots and I upgrade it to a 6. Also, I buy the black 3 die from the reserve, paying its value plus 1 with spots. That is 4 spots. I place the black die, and now I have completed this card too. I roll back the dice and flip the card. I earn 1 crystal and it goes directly to my bubble. I earn 8 spots and a new 3-winged hop symbol. This winged hop symbol is added to any previously activated hop symbol, so the sum is 7. And since I have the leader, this means I gain 7 hop tokens from the reserve. Additionally, I just completed a halo circle with 2 of my cards, so I earn a halo of light from the celestial board, and I add it to the circle, activating its bonuses and effects. Costs. In the game, costs are represented by black icons. For instance, This element costs 1 crystal, 15 hop tokens, and 8 spots. Activate effects in order. During the game, you will complete cards and obtain Sky Painter tiles and halos of light. These 3 kinds of components are considered prize elements. Whenever you complete a card, or a halo of light or Sky Painter enter to your play area, activate all its effects and bonuses element by element. It is not valid to leave an effect or bonus of an element on hold. If you don't take a benefit from one specific element and you start taking the one from another prize element, or you start other additional action, you lose the ones you didn't take. In this game, order matters. Unlimited spots and hops. Spots and hops are considered unlimited. If at any time you have more than 10 spots or 5 hop tokens, use your multiplier tile, placing the tokens with a specific value beside it. For example, this means you have 23 hop tokens, since 2 are beside your multiplier and 3 are below it. You can also use the leftover multipliers if they're not being used. Just ignore the leftover bubble. For example, this means you have 17 hop tokens. Infinite dice and neon crystals. Dice are also considered unlimited. If at any point during the game all dice are used up, the game is paused and all completed dice on the sky cards are replaced with neon crystals from the reserve. Then, all replaced dice are thrown into the reserve and the game continues normally. Neon crystals are also unlimited, but if they run out, please use some beans from your pantry to replace them temporarily. Limited clouds. Unlike spots, hops, dice, and neon crystals, clouds are always limited. If during the game you must take a cloud as a main action, bonus, or effect, take it from the reserve. But if there are no clouds left in the reserve, steal a cloud from the opponent with the most clouds. If 2 or more opponents are tied for the most clouds, then decide which of the tied players to steal from. Sequence of a turn. How to play. Players take turns clockwise until someone wins or until the end of the game. In summary, your turn consists of 4 steps that you must perform in order. Step 1. Perform one main action. This is mandatory. There are 4 main actions. Take a spot, take a cloud, take a card, or take a free die. Step 2. Perform additional actions. This is optional, in any order, and unlimited. There are 4 additional actions. Buy a die, paint with your spots, use crystals from your bubble, and acquire a Sky Painter tile. You can perform all additional actions in any order and as many times as you want and/or can. Step 3. Limit your spots to your maximum storage capacity. This is mandatory. Step 4. Review victory conditions. This is also mandatory. Now, let's review each step in greater detail. Step 1. Perform a main action. In this step, you are required to choose only one of 4 main actions. Take a spot. Simply take a spot from the general reserve and add it to your personal reserve. Take a cloud. Take a cloud and add it to your personal reserve. You can only perform this action if you have no clouds. Otherwise, you cannot perform this main action. You can obtain more clouds during the game, but you must get them through bonuses. Take a card. Take a card from those around the board. You can take any of the 3 cards that are outside the deck without paying any costs. Or you can take the one on top of the deck by paying the reserve the cost indicated on the board. Have in mind the following rules about the cards. After taking the card, fill the empty space immediately by sliding the cards to the rightmost spaces and placing the top card from the deck in the leftmost space. It's not allowed to look at the cards beneath the top card of the deck, not to count them. When you take a card, place it on its gray side, orthogonally adjacent to another card you already had placed. All cards are always placed so that the star with victory points remains in the upper right corner. Diagonal placement is not allowed, nor is it valid to rotate the card horizontally or upside down. Once placed, the card will remain in that position for the rest of the game. The halves of clouds must match other halves of clouds, and the halves of halos must match their respective halves. You cannot place these cards adjacent to others if the figure doesn't match. Some cards have edges. You cannot place any card adjacent to an edge, even if it matches another edge. You can have a maximum of 3 unfinished sky cards. This means on the gray side. Otherwise, you cannot perform this main action. It is never possible to discard a card. Be careful of how you place them. Take a free die. Take a die from the reserve without changing its value and place it immediately on one of your gray cards, with a die symbol on the same color as the one you took. If the number on the die matches, place the die on top of the symbol. It is then considered a completed die. If the number on the die is higher, immediately adjust the die to the number on the die symbol and place it on top of the symbol. You are required to make this adjustment. The die is then considered completed. In addition, immediately take as many spots from the reserve as the remaining amount of the value you adjusted. For example, if your symbol is a yellow 3 die and you took a yellow 6 die, then you get 3 spots. If the die number is lower, place the die at the bottom of the symbol, facing it. In this case, the die occupies that symbol, but it is considered an uncompleted die. You can fulfill the dies on the card in any order. You can pay 1 cloud to the reserve to change the color of the die you have taken. For example, if you take the blue 6 die and pay 1 cloud to change its color to yellow, you can place it on the yellow 6 die symbol. You cannot take a die whose color you do not have on a card unless you use the cloud as indicated. Gray dice are wild dice, so they can be any color. You cannot use a cloud to change a gray die. Once placed, a die cannot be moved to another card or another die symbol. Only 1 physical die is allowed per die symbol on your cards, whether completed or uncompleted. Step 2. Perform additional actions. This step is optional, and there are 4 additional actions you can perform. You can do them as many times as you want and/or can, in any order you want. For example, you can do one, then another, then repeat the first, then do another, then repeat the second, and repeat the first again. The following are the additional actions. Buy a die. You can buy a die from the reserve by paying its value in spots plus 1 to the reserve. For example, a die showing a number 4 costs 5 spots, and a die showing a number 2 costs 3 spots. When you buy a die, you apply exactly all the rules of taking a free die that we explained before, except that the purchased dice do not generate spots with their difference. For example, you bought a blue 4 die, paying 5 spots and place it on the blue 2 die symbol. Although you had to adjust it, you don't receive the 2 spots difference, as this die was purchased. Paint with your spots. You can use your spots to increase the value of uncompleted dice. Pay 1 spot to the reserve for each point you want to increase. It is never possible to reduce the value of the dice, and you can only convert the die upwards from 1 to 6, never in reverse. You can paint with your spots the same or different dice, paying with different spots for each of the dice. You can paint with your spots even if the die ends up incomplete. For example, you pay 2 spots to increase this die, then the die ends up at 4, even you need a 5. You can complete this die on another turn. Use crystals from your bubble. Throughout the game, you'll gain neon crystals in various ways. Whenever you gain crystals, they go into your bubble. Your bubble is tiny for the following reason. You can store up to 3 crystals inside your bubble at any point during the game. If you already have 3 crystals in your bubble and gain more, you simply don't take them. You can use 1 or more crystals during your additional actions. To use some crystals from your bubble, simply remove it from the bubble and place it on an empty die symbol on any of your sky cards. The crystal will act as if it were a die of the exact color and value of that symbol. meaning it is now a completed die. Neon crystals do not generate spots. It's important to clarify that you may have several crystals in your play area, but inside your bubble you can only have up to 3 crystals. For instance, this is correct because there are 2 crystals on cards and 3 inside your bubble. You may also use crystals from your bubble to pay for certain sky painters whose costs requires neon crystals. You cannot use crystals placed on cards to pay for sky painters. Acquire a sky painter tile. You can acquire sky painter tiles by paying their total cost to the reserve. The cost of a sky painter is the sum of the cost shown at the bottom of the sky painter tile plus the cost printed on the board where the sky painter you want to acquire is located. When acquiring a sky painter, first pay the total cost. Then take it and place it in your play area adjacent to another sky painter along its shore side if you have any, forming a star shape. Once placed in your play area, activate all the sky painter's effects and bonuses in the order of your choice. You may only acquire the sky painter on top of the stack and you may not look at the ones underneath. You can acquire more than one sky painter as long as you can pay for them, but remember to first resolve the effects and bonuses of one before continuing with the rest of your additional actions or other prize elements. Completed sky cards. When you perform your main and additional actions, it may happen that a card has all of its dice completed. In that case, the card is considered a completed card. When you complete a card, do the following. First, return all neon crystals that were on the card to the reserve. Second, carefully roll the completed dice back into the reserve. It is not allowed to intentionally hit other dice. However, if they are hit accidentally, the affected dice will keep the value they land on after being hit. Third, you must fix the card in your firmament, which means flipping the card on its colored side and keeping it in the same position on your grid. Fourth, activate all effects and bonuses that the newly completed cards grants you. Types of bonuses and effects of prize elements. You can activate all bonuses of the same element in any order. Whenever you activate a bonus or effect, activate it according to the following. Leader bonus. Immediately take the leader from wherever it is and place it in your play area. There are 3 symbols that refer to hops: Winged Hop, Revolving Hope, Support Hope. Winged Hop reward. Only if you have the leader in your play area. Add the new Winged Hop symbol from the new activated prize element to all the Winged Hop symbols from previously completed acquired elements in your play area. Then, immediately take from the reserve the same number of hop tokens as the total sum. However, if you do not have the leader in your play area, simply ignore this bonus. For example, I just completed this card, so I gain 8 spots, and since I don't have the leader, I don't gain any hop tokens for this 3 winged hop symbol at this moment. But let's say it's later in the game, it's another turn of mine, and I just got this halo of light that shows a 10 winged hop symbol, and right now I do have the leader. So this symbol is added to all previously activated winged hop symbols, then it's 10 plus 3. This means I earn 13 hop tokens from the reserve. Revolving Hope. If you took the card on top of the deck, the card on the left, or the card in the center, the Revolving Hope is activated. This icon will remind you that whenever Revolving Hope is activated, do the following. Add a Hope token from the reserve to the card on the right, even if there are other Hope tokens. In addition, your opponents receive as many Hope tokens as they have Revolving Hope activated icons on their completed cards of any type, Sky Painter tiles, and Halos of Light. In this example, my opponent gets a total of 2 Hope tokens, one indicated on a completed card and one more indicated by the Sky Painter. Support Hopes. Immediately take all the hop tokens indicated by the hop symbol, even if you don't have the leader. These hops for help are granted to you only once in the entire game. This can also occur with uncompleted cards. For instance, if the card you placed has a hop icon on its gray side, take the hop tokens from the reserve immediately as indicated by the card. These hop tokens, which you obtain simply by taking the card, are considered support hops, since no effort has yet been made to complete the card. Spot bonus. Immediately take as many spots as indicated by the prize element. Neon crystal bonus. Immediately take as many neon crystals as indicated by the prize element. Cloud bonus. Immediately take as many clouds as shown by the completed element. Sometimes they are granted for 2 completed halves, and sometimes some elements have the completed cloud already, so you immediately gain that cloud or clouds. Halo of Light bonus. Immediately take a Halo of Light from the board and place it in the completed circle. Although the Halo of Light is a bonus, you must pay its cost if it has one. For example, if you completed a card whose 2 halves form a halo of light, take one from the celestial board. However, if you don't want to or can't pay for it, or there are no more halos available, simply don't take the halo of light and you permanently forfeit it, meaning that circle in your play area will remain empty for the rest of the game. Some reward elements also include special effects that provide halos of light. These don't require 2 halves, so they are considered completed circles already. The first halo of light taken from the board is free. However, once there is an empty circle space on the board, each subsequent halo will cost increasingly more, as the cost is determined by adding up the costs shown in all the empty halo spaces on the board. Each empty space shows the cost that must be paid for the next halo taken from the board. For example, with a board like this, the next halo token will cost 2 spots and 2 hop tokens. Additionally, when you take a halo of light at the end of the current turn and before any player starts another turn, all dice still remaining in the reserve are rerolled. This icon will remind you of this. Step 3. Limit your spots to your maximum storage capacity. From the beginning of your main action and throughout your turn, before reaching this step, you may have any number of spots. However, once you reach this step and cannot or do not want to take any more actions, you must discard any excess spots down to your storage limit. This is mandatory. To determine your maximum spot capacity, add up all spot capacity symbols on the banners on your colored computer cards and other prize elements. Your initial Magic Partner Sky card grants you a permanent capacity from the beginning of the game, even if it's not completed. Other Sky cards, however, must be completed for the spot capacity icons to count. Step 4. Review victory conditions. Next, you must check if you have won with Star Victory or Firmament Victory, or if the game continues or has been triggered to end. If you have won, you are the new Sky Leader hero and the game ends immediately. If not, it will be the next player's turn. Announce out loud that your turn is over and that you will not longer make any moves. End of game and efficiency victory. If during step 4 of your turn the Sky card deck has been depleted, you have triggered the end of the game. Then turns continue until the last player in the turn order has taken their turn. After that, no more turns are played. Important! During the final turns, it's still possible to win with Star Victory or Firmament Victory. If no more turns are played and neither of those victories occurred, proceed to scoring phase to determine efficiency victory. Scoring. To calculate your total score for efficiency victory, consider all colored stars on the elements in your play area and the following factors. Yellow stars indicate points. Use the scorecard to draw a table on a blank sheet as shown and add up these points. Points from your completed cards. Points granted by your Sky Painter tiles. Do not yet include end-of-game effects. Points granted by your Halos of Light. Do not yet include end-of-game effects. If you kept the leader, gain 7 points. If you didn't, gain 0 points for this. Cloud Token Majority Points. The first place gets 15 points, the second place gets 7 points, and the third place gets 5 points. You must have at least one Cloud token to earn these points. If 2 or more players tie in a position, All tied players receive the corresponding points. Add 1 point per hub token in your play area. Add 1 point per spot in your play area. Add 1 point per neon crystal in your play area. Add 1 point per completed or incompleted die still in your play area. Add 1 point per incomplete card. Finally, check the end-of-game effects of the Halos of Light and Sky Painters. The player with the highest total score wins with efficiency victory. In the rare case of a tie, victory is shared.